Yo, yo, yo! What's going on, all the great people and all of the great land? It's your guy, Nicholas Wilcox. It's your guy, Johnny Knight. The Fantasy Football Show, Week 10. Your DFS, your props, your bets, your starts, and sits. We out here give you guys last minute advice for waiver wire as well. And any questions you guys got to answer, feel free to drop them in the chat. If you ain't following us on X, if you ain't following us on Facebook, if you ain't following us on TikTok, what are you doing? Please like, subscribe to all media channels. My guy Johnny, what's happening, my dude?
You know, just out here, 345, 350 plus carries this season, trying to make it a clean 440 as we get ready to enter in the fantasy playoff weekend space, man. This is we're getting to it, man. It's kind of crazy to think that we're in week 10 right now, and fantasy playoffs are it's there in reach for some of us. Some of us are just trying to get positioned, and some of us are trying to get in, and some of us are already thinking about next season, which is kind of sad, man. But that's where we're at right now as we get ready to kick off week 10, bro.
Yep, that's exactly where we at for week 10 for sure. So yeah, look, if you are pushing for the playoffs, if you guys got again questions that need to be answered, trade deadline, stuff like that, yo, we here, we live, we out here, we're back here later today as well. So yeah, look, whatever you guys got, drop them in the chat. I'm saying, so our favorite folk of people gonna be here as well, so feel free to get engagement. But that being said, we're gonna break down these games, starting with the 1 o'clock games, 1 p.m. slated games. Ravens getting 3.5. The favorites going on the road to Minnesota. Ravens obviously have to be in position to talk about playoffs. Need to position themselves in a position to at least get themselves back into the AFC North division race, as the Steelers still lead that currently. That being said, again, 48.5 is the over-under. Vikings are somewhat in that same boat because, you know, the Lions are obviously leading the division. They still got the Packers there. The Bears are still hanging around. So that being said, you know, what I got for this game is literally just, I mean, it's Lamar Henry, you know what I'm saying, like this show, right? Vikings still a bottom 10 defense when it comes to opposing runs. And with Lamar Jackson, you know, he's great against the blitz. Vikings are the defense that blitzes the most so far. Still play a ton of man coverage. So I do like this game from a offensive standpoint for the Ravens. I think they cover. I think the over goes over. The other side of things, J.J. McCarthy, 3 total touchdowns this past week. But it's something where, again, like the Ravens are getting a little bit more healthier on defense. I don't think I saw any defensive person on their injury report this past week. Or last couple of days at least.
Marlon Humphrey's the only guy that's showing up right now, and
that's big.
And that was from, and well, but that was just. But to your point, like I think he's going to be fine. Like he practiced on full on. I think on Friday was their last day, so he was there. Okay. So we don't. Yeah, like their injury report actually looks relatively clean, man, which is first time all year for them.
Right, and my whole thing with the Ravens is that, you know, they've been a defense we could constantly pick on, but the last couple of weeks they kind of shored up a little bit of things. So I do think that this Ravens defense, you know, you got a ton of, you know, weapons still in defense. Just talk about Marlon Humphrey, you know what I'm saying? You talk about, you know, Roquan Smith. Like, there's still guys on this team that, you know, you have to respect from an X and O's perspective. The reason why I think this over gets over is because the Vikings are going to keep on chucking the football. I think this is an environment where Lamar has to be Superman in order to keep the Ravens not only in the game, but also for their playoff hopes. They got an easier schedule coming down the line. So they have to get this one. I think the Ravens, again, cover 3.5. I think the over goes over. I think for the Viking side of things, Addison, Jefferson, you already know, outside of those weapons, Hawkinson, you already know it's going to be. So McCarthy's going to have to prove that he belongs in the league, I think, this week. 154 total passing yards is not going to do it. You know, even though they won last week, it's not going to do it in this matchup. So give me the Ravens, give me the over, and give me the 3.5 spread. What you got, Johnny?
Other than the Drake London touchdown that just happened and Michael Penix, other than that,
they hate Bijan Robinson, don't they? They hate Bijan Robinson. It's back to that, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. No, man, I think like you touched on like a lot of like the points I was going to talk about, was just like the blitz aspect from the Vikings, right? And what that means for Lamar. I think that's definitely is a game for him where, you know, obviously if they're blitzing a lot, more likely than not, you're probably going to see a little bit more man. They'll probably sprinkle in some zone blitz, obviously. But I definitely like him today, like as far as like running the football, things like that. I do agree with you. I think this game gets over. I think this is a game that's mildly being overlooked from a fan perspective. I think a lot of people are hurrying to get to the Ravens side of things, which understandably so. But I think this is a really good place to be able to get some Viking players for sure. As far as like if you think about just the Viking pass catchers, if you want to go like Jordan Addison or maybe even like a Zay Flowers, right? Which he's a pretty chalky play today. He's almost at 30%. I expect him to be that on DraftKings by the time we kick off. I like that part of it for sure. And I think like both tight ends are forgotten tight ends here today. I think this might be a space where you could see either TJ Hawkinson and or Mark Andrews really produce for you in this space. I think these are two of the bigger letdowns at the tight end position so far this year. But from a DFS side of things, like I definitely don't mind doing something relatively contrarian, as far as like having like a Jordan Addison and a Hawkinson or Addison and an Andrews. Playing a lot on FanDuel today, GPP packs.
Boy.
Yeah. What?
Oh boy. Continue.
What? Oh, well, now what happened? No, tell me.
Drake London to the medical tent.
My man. Okay. Oh boy. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think I have any Drake London anywhere, but yeah.
Now it smells like roses.
I just don't. I have a chance to get to him. I got Kyle Pitts. I got some Bijan, but Michael Penix is my starting QB in my home league today. Yeah, so I think it's a really good place. Like we talk about Addison and Hawkinson and Andrews to be able to get a little bit different. Still waiting on Derrick Henry too, man. Derrick Henry it's not been the type of year that I expected from him. It's not been one that you want to, you don't want to completely write it off. But again, like talking about the blitz aspect of things, this could be a space where he could pop off as well. So I like that. I like that aspect of things when we talk about it. Not really a whole lot else, man. So I think like from this side of things, man, from a game side, I took Baltimore because I still think like they're healthy. They're healthy, and like them being healthy in week 10 is probably going to be the team we thought they were going to be, before the season started. So give me the Ravens today. I'll just take the Ravens straight up on the money line because I could see a world 1,000% where this game is a lot closer than 3.5 on the Viking side. I think since both of these teams are really playing for their seasons today. So I think like you're going to get the best effort from both teams today.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's just kind of that's what I was all thinking all along with that, what you just said. So, yep, moving on. As far as DFS side of things, obviously, like Lamar Jackson 6,800, I think I'm locking him in DK today. Just because we talked about season's online for Ravens, everything's lining up for them. It should be a competitive environment. And if I'm getting Lamar Jackson under 20% or something like that today, like give me him all day. I know there's other spots, but I'm just gonna lock in Lamar. Like he's the lock of the day for me. For DFS lineups today. Quarterback. He's locking it. I know Josh Allen, this, but I don't think Josh Allen's gonna get pushed, and we'll talk about that. But locking Lamar Jackson now, saying it and doing it live.
Damn. Okay, I love it.
Browns and Jets, simple game. Browns going to cover this game. Jets just traded the whole franchise away. Neither of these teams are going to be anything playoff viable. What I have to say is that obviously Browns get a great matchup here. Jets are allowing the 5th most yards after contact, 2.4 yards per attempt. So big game for Judkins, I think, in this spot. He's the offense. Dylan Gabriel is just going to keep on managing the game. For the Jet side of things, like Justin Fields is the contrarian play of the week.
Yes.
5,200 for Fields on DraftKings. And obviously, Browns play a ton of man coverage, 5th highest in the league. And when it comes down to their defense, they do show up really well. I mean, Myles Garrett can come out and have 6 sacks today by himself. He did 5 the previous week. So that being said, like give me the Browns in this one. The Jets aren't going anywhere. This line I feel should be the Browns at least by 4.5, and the fact that it's almost a pick 'em is a little weird. Jets at home, I understand it, but I'm mailing it in on them. Garrett Wilson comes back today, so that's going to be a good thing for this Jets offense. But again, like, show me something today, Jets. Show me something. That's all it is. What do you got to say?
Yeah, I think like you hit on like a couple of pieces of it as far as with the Browns and what they do like defensively as far as playing a lot of man and Justin Fields being a contrarian play. Like I actually, before we hopped on, I did do one lineup in a 20 max where actually I just put him as my QB, and I thought like that would be like a really contrarian play because there is a world where Justin Fields can have a pretty big day.
He does better against man coverages than he does in his zones.
Yeah,
you know that's it is too.
For sure. And like for him, anyway, this year, he's actually had 5 touchdown passes. They've all been against man. And then when you look at Breece Hall in the same aspect as well, 15.4% of his carries have been explosive runs. That's the second most of any running back in the league with 75 carries. So while I think it's very easy to kind of gloss over this game and gloss over this scenario and situation, I don't think we should gloss over it just in that respect. So I definitely want to make sure I'm doing justice for anybody that's watching and not as emotionally as invested as you are with the Jets. You know what I mean? Because I could definitely understand if my team was 1-7, I would probably be you're handling it pretty well because I would probably be way worse than what you are right now, for sure. But I think that's definitely something just to call out, right? Like if you want to get different, and then there's the price tag on Justin Fields today too, right? When you look at that, like it's not just him in the game, it's his price tag at $5,200. Then my guy Cedric Tillman is back today as well for the Cleveland Browns. I know his offense looks a lot different from the last time he was there, but he's back, and he obviously is a very capable wide receiver.
What up, my guy? What up, man?
At 3,500 on DK and 4,000. I think it's 4,000 or 4,200 on FanDuel. Cedric Tillman.
He's back today. Yep.
Yeah, so I think like it's a really nice cheap play. Obviously with a lot
3,500 DraftKings.
Yeah, 3,500 on DraftKings. He's around 4,000. I'm pretty positive on FanDuel. So it's a nice place to get a little bit different. And he's a salary saver for sure. And not a lot of people are playing him as well. He's coming in like 5% on DK. So in this game right here, I agree with you. I'm definitely going to take the Browns for sure because again, defensively, it's kind of hard to go against anything that they put on film so far this season. And then Quinshon Judkins, like that's the other player I really want to talk about as well from the DFS side of things.
Yep,
you mentioned it. Like they traded away.
How many running backs today though?
It's not. I wouldn't say they traded away their franchise. I think they traded away their most notable players. Is what they did, right? Because when you're 1-7, like in my opinion, I don't think it's a franchise at this point. I think they're just notable players that household people are familiar with. And even if you look at today with what's going on or what was going on before the Drake London injury with Sauce Gardner, hey man, like I think it is what it is, right? But Quinshon Judkins is at 19% right now on DraftKings, and obviously Quentin Williams now gone to Dallas. So this smells like a spot where Quinshon Judkins would definitely should pay off his price tag today, or maybe even more. So again, like I think it's very easy to gloss over this game, but I don't want to just gloss over it because I think there's definitely a few key players in this space that you can really look at from a DFS side of things and attack. Quinshon at 20%, the Browns defense is 17%, which that makes sense. And then Breece Hall is the highest owned Jet at almost 12%.
Makes sense. No, there's still pieces to be had, secondary pieces if anything else. Next game, I'll let you take this one. Patriots getting 2.5 going on the road to Tampa Bay. Obviously 7-2, Bucks 6-2, Bucks coming off the bye. Over unders 48.5. Johnny, take it away, my guy.
Yeah, same thing, man, right? You're talking about another defense, like as we talked about earlier, that likes to bring the heat. It's Todd Bowles. Obviously, we know what that is, right? Yeah, he likes to bring that heat, but Drake May has been all right. Been pretty damn good, actually, against the blitz so far this year. 74% against the blitz. That's the third highest in the NFL. And Drake May is on the heater, man. Like, he's obviously playing really, really, really great football here in the Tom Brady Bowl. So I think like another call out when you look at like from DFS side of the world is what's going to happen with the pass catchers today for New England, right? Like I think that's one of the more intriguing stories that we've got today. I think obviously we know Stephon Diggs and Hunter Henry. We know what it is with those guys, but then it could go a lot of different places, right? Like it could go Mac Hollins, like we've seen Austin Hooper have a couple touchdowns, right? Like we've seen like a lot of like really crazy fluky things with this New England offense. So I think that's one of the concerns if you want to look at this game. Obviously, we know there's going to be points that are going to be scored because Baker Mayfield playing in this game, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense, we know what it's going to be. We know they're going to throw the ball. Still no Bucky Irvin, man. I know that's hurting your heart right now as well. So, but you got that. And the one thing I'm going to be paying attention today too is just with Emeka Ibuka today. That's one of the biggest things like I'm going to be paying attention to. Obviously, it makes sense, right? Like it's not rocket science, but for me, just the last time we seen him on Monday Night Football, that hamstring, man, like I was a lot concerned about that. So I think, it's been over a week that he's had to kind of nurse that thing up. And I think we'll see like how bad of a hamstring injury this is or it was for him, because I just didn't see him like jumping and attacking the football the way that he had earlier on in the season. So that's one of the things. And then our favorite fantasy misfit, sweetheart, crazy ex-girlfriend, Travion Henderson gets to start again today for the New England Patriots, right? Tampa Bay Buccaneers have done a great job against running backs so far, but the one thing they haven't done a good job at is running backs catching the football. So we all know that's Mr. Travion's specialty. Right. So I think there's this is another game, man, where there's just a lot of it's a weird slate today. And I know we say that almost every week, but you look at guys like K-Dot and you look at guys like Rashad White, right? Like these guys absolutely 1000% have the ability to hit a touchdown today in some respect. And they're not very highly owned, neither one of those guys. And even Drake May's at 13. No, he's at 9%. I'm sorry. Yeah. So Drake May's at almost not. Yeah. Right. You know what I mean? So, and he's just somebody that kind of kept popping today, when I was doing my lineup. So I was like, okay, I'll get back to him, but he's almost getting to a point price tag and financially where his price tag is almost caught up for sure. So yeah, man. So this game right here is the text you don't reply to. Yeah. Hey, we all been guilty.
Making fun of him all year, but it'd be really funny if you just come out and just smash today, which would be
it's obviously in the realm of possibilities for sure. The game itself overall, man, I'm just gonna stick. I'm gonna stick with what I got. Happy Mac.
Hey, good call. Good call on Alec Pierce, though. I'll tell you that much for sure. He's over here roasting right now, for sure.
Yeah, he is.
Good call, D-Row. Good call.
Yeah, I'm gonna roll with Tampa Bay in this game right here. I just think I think the Patriots are a really good football team. I just think they're one of those teams for me that when the playoffs hit or when they play teams that have a little bit more season and a little bit more pedigree, I think you're going to see some of that inexperience kind of start to show up on the field. But yeah, let's go with the Buccaneers today.
Okay. And D-Bro, yeah, man. Happy Sunday to you. Thanks for coming in, showing the love, man. Really appreciate it with your whole busy schedule. Really appreciate the love. Yeah, for this game for me, Bucks defense allowed fewest yards after contact at 1.45 yards. So it's definitely going to be tough sledding for the Patriots trying to get a run game going. However, I do think that the pass, May's deep ball throw rate increases against the blitz. So obviously we all know the Bucs are going to be blitzing. They're also another team that's in the top 5 when it comes to blitz rate as a defense. So yeah, Drake May should have a game where, if they're going to be in this game, if they're going to win this game on a road and cover, Drake May is going to have to obviously continue to being, this MVP-ish type of candidate right now, quarterback. So I think give me the Patriots in this spot. I think Baker will obviously get pushed. But I do think that with New England, they do have a solid defense in this matchup as well. And as I take a sip of water, with this spot, it's more about I think the Patriots really coming together. And there's been a team that, I'm just gonna keep on going with, because they've just been on fire. But New England, as far as it goes, their defense against Baker Mayfield. But Baker Mayfield, even without his, Emeka Ibuka comes back and whatnot, but it's still an offense that's still a bit hampered when it comes to this matchup. So give me the Patriots, give me the cover. I do like the over in the spot too. This should be a game that goes back and forth. And obviously Baker's our guy. So, but I'll just say that I think Drake May gets this. He's been in spots where he's done it before, and I think they can do it one more time. To the next game we got to pay attention to the weather for this one. Giants getting 4.5, going on the road to Chicago. take on the Bears. Bears are 5-3 on the year. Giants just trying to hang around 2-7. Over under 45.5. I do like the over in this spot. Both of these defenses are a top 5 pass funnel to quarterbacks, and this could really set up for some shootout. It's just the weather looks a little bit fishy right now. With a potential rain going down in Chicago, potential a little bit windy. I gotta look more into that. I looked at it a little bit this morning, but I didn't have as much time to look at that weather report. But it seems to be like it's still a decent spot, but I think we need to just pay attention to it in general. Obviously, Jackson Dart, Caleb Williams. I think I like both of those guys at quarterback this week, especially for your season longs if you're starting them. Yeah, Bears at home. Yep. Yeah, I like the over for sure. I think this game is mispriced a little bit for the over-under. I think it should be more 49.5, something like that, for this matchup. So I think we're getting a decent, at least field goal-ish, point differential. So what I like about this game is that, the Giants run defense, they still allow third highest expected run percentage rate. So this is a good thing for Swift because he's playing today officially. Monongai will probably still get mixed in. I wouldn't completely ignore him today. Because I know the Bears do kind of, they are kind of seeing this as a Gibbs Montgomery from past perspective of Detroit with Johnson. So I mean, look, it's something where I do think Monongai can still find a way. If you have to start him later, like if you're in a deep format, you had Monongai this past week, you're able to pick him off the waiver wire, 14-team league, like you're still starting Monongai today just because there's obviously a chance to have a touchdown in this spot. But again, for the Bears, like they're also a defense that plays 10th highest man coverage in the league. So with that being said, Dart has been decent against man coverage. He does his best work against man coverage. So Dart, I think, is having a decent season, and he's just someone that if you have him in DFS, he's 5,600 on DraftKings. Like he's a spot where I think in this spot. Once again, with the Bears this past week, right? We had that crazy that crazy game between them and the Bengals, and they scored like 89 points combined. Like this is another spot that kind of pertails towards that. So yeah, I do like both of these quarterbacks. And as far as the Bears side of things, Roma Dunze, like he's someone that I think we need to go back to the well on. This offense, for whatever reason, he got like 3 targets past week, and the Bengals do well against
Oh, I thought wait. He was playing last week?
Yeah, he was.
Oh, my bad. My bad.
Funny thing,
my
right?
My bad.
Funny story. Yeah, Roman Dunze definitely played last week, but just underperformed. The Bengals have, on paper should have thought it before, but they do well against wide receiver ones. But their defense is so leaky. So that being said, though, in this spot, I do like the Bears to just give me the money line for the Bears. I do think the Giants are going to keep this competitive. But I do think that the Bears have the way of, just salting the game away at home. And I do think that, the Giants are going to be throwing from behind. What you got to say about this game, Johnny?
Jackson Dart is what I got to say about this game. Obviously this game features my guy Caleb Williams for sure. And no matter what you feel, think, or say about him, he's a QB1 so far on the year. He's quarterback 10. So he's still hanging out in that space. I just like Jackson Dart in this game. This just feels like a spot for me where, like you mentioned it, like the Bears are going to give up some points. Like I think like they still haven't hit their ceiling for where they should be defensively. And I think Jackson Dart has proven it. I think his last three performances, I'm pretty sure he's actually been a QB1 in that space, not the quarterback one overall, obviously. But he's had QB1 performances.
Top 12 quarterback.
Yeah, over the last three. Actually, over the last 4 weeks, actually. The Eagles QB3, Broncos QB2, Eagles QB12, and the 49ers QB5. So I feel very comfortable with him in this space here. I think when you look at the slate and you think about all right, well, where's a place that I can go to that's not wildly overpriced and still gives you kind of some ability to do some things. I think that's the space that I'm looking at for sure as I'm looking at him, especially on DraftKings, right? He's 5,700 on DraftKings, and he's obviously cheaper than Caleb Williams. So this gives you the opportunity to get to that game with Jackson Dart. And then if you want to start looking at some of the pass catchers for the Bears or Swift, which I think a lot of people just aren't going to get there because of the injury and just because there's been so much swirling around him. as far as from the injury side of things over the last couple. So I think that's a real, I don't want to say contrarian space, but I think like you can get there with Jackson Dart, and I think you can get there as well with DeAndre Swift. I'm trying to see what his ownership is right now as far as Jackson Dart. So Jackson Dart is at 4%. So actually, people are playing him more than they're playing Caleb Williams. He's at like 2.96. So he's at almost 3%. But I think obviously the pricing side of things gives you the ability to kind of get different. Giant pass catchers, like if you want to go Caleb Williams and then giant pass catchers to kind of give you some salary relief, like obviously you can do that. But I think I'm definitely won't be surprised at all. Like once this game is over with and we chop it back up a little bit here later tonight, that whoever wins a significant amount of money today and takes down one of these slates, I feel like there's going to be a player or two, or maybe more than that come from this game. I know you mentioned the weather. It's the rain. I just looked up on X while you were talking about it with Kevin Roth. And it looks like at this point in time, like the snow and the rain and stuff, that'll be all gone. It's just going to be more about the wind here at this point, 20 to 30 mile per hour wind. But like you're also talking about two teams and two quarterbacks, right, who have strong enough arms to rip through that kind of stuff. And like Jackson Dart isn't necessarily comfortable yet playing in that space because we're just now kind of getting to the season change. But obviously Caleb Williams, playing in Chicago, what it is as far as from like a weather side of things. And then, man, going back to like what you were talking about, like with Roma Dunze, man, I obviously want to get there. People are off of him now. So if you want to play him now, this is the best time to play him at 5% at this point. And then people are still not playing DJ Moore, even after he's had a couple of pretty solid games here in his respect. So I like the Bears pass catchers here, man. I like the Bears pass catchers. So if I'm going to run a game stack, I'm going to go Jackson Dart, and I'm going to go then some Bears skill players and see what happens after that. As far as the game itself goes, I have got the Chicago Bears to take this one down. I think it'll go over for sure, but I'll just take the Bears on the money line with this right here and won't stress myself out about this one.
Nah, you shouldn't. It should be a competitive game though, so I do expect some fireworks in this one for sure. Bills, Dolphins. Buffalo, 9.5 favorite going into Miami. And the Bills, 62 in the year, obviously. Looking to keep up with the Patriots, obviously. Who would have thunk that? Miami, obviously, at home. The over-under 50.5. Yeah, like, I think for this marquee matchup for the Bills in this spot, like, this should be a spot where I'm really expecting James Cook to come out and do his thing. Yeah. Miami's still a top 5 run defense that allows, rushing yards. And, just James Cook is just having a phenomenal year. Like, there's no sugarcoating that. And I just, for DFS purposes, I just don't think that Josh Allen, he shouldn't be the highest price quarterback on this slate, I don't think. I know that Josh Allen could probably still do it within 3 quarters, but it's like, if we expect a blowout in this spot, that I do think that it's more like Josh Allen in these spots, he needs to be pushed. The other team needs to be in a spot where either the pace goes a little bit more faster, or it's more the other team just going to have to keep on, scoring. And I'm not sure how Miami is going to be looking to score as often in this spot when it comes to this game. So, like, I like the Bills. The 9.5 is something that, I think is definitely doable because, again, Miami's kind of feel like they were kind of running on fumes in some ways. Tua right now, he's the second worst quarterback when it comes to completion percentage under pressure. The Bills are a top 10 defense that provides a lot of pressure. So, and again, on the other side of things from, going on my point about, Miami still being a bad run defense, they kind of shored up a little bit the last couple of weeks, obviously, but the Dolphins still allow the second highest expected run percentage, when it comes to running backs. So give me Buffalo in this spot. I think that we shouldn't overlook this. I just think Miami there's only so much they can do in this spot. Achane for me is obviously a guy you want to play this week. Obviously, every week is an Achane week, but 7,400 on DraftKings, and I do think there's a ton of things that Achane can still do. Since Tyreek went down, his target share is 21%, and with that being said, like, he's just getting a lot of things underneath. So I definitely love him in this spot in a game that they're trailing, in a game that should provide a ton of workload usage still for Achane. Obviously, we're still going to have Ollie Gordon, but it's something that, again, like, I'm not scared to play Achane. I'm hoping that isn't as high owned as everybody I'm thinking, but in terms of price tag, in terms of the other running backs too, like, this still could be a spot where Achane just gets a ton of receiving work in this spot. We on the same track today?
Yeah.
You like Miami?
No, but actually, ironically enough, like, I think this is another one of those games where I'm not saying Miami's going to win, but I have a feeling that Miami might be able to keep this.
Put some fight.
Yeah, I truly do. I truly think they have an opportunity to do that. I think they have been playing a little bit tougher here over the last handful of weeks for sure. I think one of the other things too, like, just not to like lose focus on is, if you think about that Thursday night game against the Ravens, there were a couple of opportunities they had to put points on the board. And they missed. Like, they just and that's the difference between good teams and bad teams. So, like, I won't like die on that hill, but I truly think that, like, they're at home. This is a place for them to put up a little bit of a fight. The guy that I actually like a lot today, man, and it makes me kind of sick to my stomach to do this, is Jalen Waddle, because I know there's like a 60% chance he's going to go up for a catch and dislocate his hip. And then there goes, everything for me today. But like you talked about, right? Like, Josh Allen needs to be pushed today in order to provide value if you're going to play him on the DFS side of things. And James Cook, like, you just, like, we're at a point now where, like, it's week 10, man. Like, you can't not have him in consideration and not play him. If you're submitting shit, even more than one lineup or more, like, you could arguably make a case for him just in a single entry format, like, at this point. So, and I agree with you with Devon Achane. Every week is a Devon Achane week for sure.
There is.
It is. Every week is a Devon Achane week. Because even on the bad weeks, and this is what pisses me off about him so bad, is even on the bad weeks, like, he doesn't suck. Like, he doesn't suck. He just doesn't break the slate. And then whenever I don't play him, then he breaks the slate for 30. So I think there's that. And then I think too, like, another guy like I want to talk about as well is Dalton Kincaid. I think, like, with tight end being what it is now, and, we say this all the time just with the tight end space, but, like, Dalton Kincaid is finally starting to come around to very close to what we thought and anticipated him to be when the Bills took him in the second round. And I shouldn't say nobody, but he's coming in at 7% on today on DraftKings. And I feel like he is the guy that's really started to kind of emerge as the primary pass catcher for the Buffalo Bills. And if you can get him today at 4,300 on DraftKings, man, I think that's a pretty damn good price for sure. So, Josh Allen, obviously, Devon Achane is the highest owned guy here today, 23%, followed by James Cook at almost 15% on DraftKings. So I'm gonna take the Bills straight up, but, like, definitely, I'll play the role. Last week I was gonna do it and I didn't do it, but I'll do it this week. I'll say the Dolphins can keep this within 10. I think they can.
Okay.
I mean, you weren't gonna do it today. Somebody, brother's acting bad, but somebody got to do it.
I've done this spot with Miami before. I'm all set. I'm all set with that. So a game that should be a little bit more competitive, from a back and forth divisional perspective. Jags 5-3 in the year, is getting a 1.5 as a favorite going into Houston. And the Texans 3-5 on the year. No CJ Stroud in this matchup. Obviously, no Travis Hunter in this spot for the Jags. This is going to be one of those games where it just gets grimy and dirty. 37.5 over under. What I will say in this game, in this matchup, is I think we got to watch out for Travis Etienne. Texans, in the boundary allowed running backs to still get, usage. So in a spot where obviously no Brian Thomas today. Hold on. Hold on. No Brian Thomas today. Jacksonville Jaguars. Can be the Parker Washington show again. Whoop whoop. Anyhow.
Fucking Brian Thomas Jr., man.
Hold on, let me get it out.
At least he's out this week. At least I know, like, I can count. At least I know I can count on him not to do anything. Like, that's a lot better than like counting on him to do something. Like, at least like now I know, like, he can't hurt me. He can't hurt me because he's not playing. So that's cool. At least I appreciate that.
Give you a little peace of mind at least.
Yeah, yeah. Little sanity, yeah.
For the Texas side of things, obviously get no CJ Stroud, but this should be a spot where Nico Collins is someone that's going to definitely go under the radar. And I think in this spot, it's one of those spots where division games, stuff like that. But we've seen the Jaguars Texans matchups. They've gone the over, so I'll take the over. But also it's more about, I think, these ancillary pieces, secondary pieces, once again, like if you want to go Nico for a totally different build, for what some other people are doing today, I have no qualms with that. The Jaguars still are a defense that allows a ton of receiving yards on the outside. So they've just been better against the run and against slots, but against the outside receivers, like it could be a Nico Collins day on the low, 6,700, in a spot where he should be getting peppered in a ton, just due to, Davis Mills playing at quarterback today. So, yeah, I say give me the Jags in this spot. I think that they got some momentum building, especially after that win in overtime that went crazy, that game against the Raiders and the Jags. I just think the Jaguars should get it done in this spot, where a spot they should take advantage of an offense without CJ Stroud and at home. Sorry, with the Texans being at home.
Yeah, I'm taking the Texans.
That's fine. I understand why you would.
Yeah, no, I'm taking the Texans today. I just think like Jacksonville has been very stagnant. I think you've seen, or you should have saw like what happened last week with Trevor Lawrence. Playing zone when teams play zone coverage against him. Yep. Not necessarily the best in that space, for sure. And I just think like again, man, like this is a spot where like you mentioned it. It's a division game. It's a classic trappish game. The Texans are really tough. Like I think like they're better coached. I know they have a quarterback issue, I think, but Davis Mills has been in this. He's been here before. Like the guys are familiar with him. Like he knows what the assignment is. Go out, get the ball to Nico Collins. Don't be a fool. Just go do what you do, right? So I think there's that. And then like the other part too, like we got to talk about a little bit is the newest Jag, Jacoby Myers. He's there now. So like this is a little bit different, for sure. So and then not to be a lamey, but I'm gonna be. Christian Kirk revenge game, baby. Christian Kirk revenge game. So I think there's like a lot of like really weird, like awkward
undertones.
Yeah, like there's a lot of like odd stuff in this game. Yeah. And I think like the odder things get, like for me, the weirder things get, the more that it like favors dogs. So like I'm gonna take the Texans today. In this space. I know the Jags had been playing really good football, like defensively. But again, man, I think we've seen it, man. Like even though they're 3-5, man, like you could make a case that this literally is the best defense in the NFL. Like you could literally make a case for them to be that. So I like them at home today, in that space. From a DFS side of things, people are jumping all over the Jaguars defense for sure. No pun intended. Almost 20% owned. And then the highest owned Texan is Dalton Schultz, which I'm okay with that as well. Along with Nico Collins. I think there's a lot of pass catchers that could do something for the Jags, which makes it really a pain in the ass. Like when you're playing DFS, like if you're playing GPP and you want to get to the spot, God bless you, God love you. It's not a place I'm going to for like pass catchers, like maybe one, depending on what happens from my build. But overall, like that's not a place that like I'm actually targeting. But then the Texans, nobody's really playing that defense at almost 3% on it. I think we've seen, man, Trevor Lawrence can be had.
We've seen it. Yeah,
he can be had for sure. So for me, I just feel a lot more comfortable with the Texans at home, with these two teams being this close, man.
Yeah, that's true. No, I don't mind that either. This really is just one of those pick 'em spots, like for sure.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. I see my man out there. Bryce, man. What up, Bryce, man? My man.
spelled your name wrong.
Yeah, no, it's all good, man. It's all good, man. That's one of my guys. One of my guys, man. I used to work at the school back in the day, man. He was in one of my classrooms and stuff, man. So shout out to the Bryce, man, baby.
Teacher, huh? Look at him. To a crap game we go. Saints getting 5.5 on the road, going to Carolina. Yeah, no Rashid Shaheed got traded to Seattle. Rico Dowdle coming in banged up, and I know that's your guy, so I'm gonna let you talk about him. And Panthers at home could be 6-4 after this game. Over under 30.5. This is a good spot for Carolina. Everything is measuring up to this Carolina team just being feisty. What I'll say is that I just think that they've become a complete run team, obviously. And that being said, that's just kind of how I see it. Like with this game, give me Carolina to cover in this spot. The Panthers are dead last in pass rate over expected over the last 4 weeks. They've just been killing the run game. So I know you want to talk about Rico.
Yeah. Yeah. So just to talk about
like you will help me today. But.
Yeah, man. Yeah. No, but just to talk about Rico, right? I think it's over 735 yards so far he's got this season. I'm pretty sure he's the hottest running back in the NFL as far as like the last 3 or 4 weeks. Over like 120 or 130 yards, something in that space where he's been at over 173 yards rushing and 204 scrimmage yards since 2025. So there's that. And then I think like the other part of this for him is like when you talk about like Carolina being fully committed to the run game, like the Saints, their defense has been run on 51% of the time so far. So this is a perfect recipe and a perfect storm for the Carolina Panthers, like 1,000%.
Yeah, it's a layup. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not gonna say it's a layup. I'm not gonna say it's a layup. I'm not gonna say it's a layup. Yeah, I'm not gonna say it's a layup, right? But like, I going back, 2 or 3 weeks ago, like, I said it. I thought that they would put up a better fight against the Buffalo Bills, and they didn't. But this is a team that, like, you've been able to see it. Like, you've been able to see it, and like you mentioned it, like they could come out of this thing 6-4. So that's obviously a possibility. And another thing for the Saints have not had a rookie starting quarterback win a game since week 10. And that was in 1981 with Dave Wilson. I wasn't even born yet, bro. So like, I wasn't even born yet, man. So it's been almost, it's been over 40 years since that's happened. All right. Just for perspective. Right. But I do think like there are also other players that you can look at, like Rico Dowdle. He is the lemon pepper chalk of the week. No question. He is the lemon pepper chalk of the week. But I think like too, like you could probably get away with playing both of these teams here, right? Like as far as team defenses, nobody's playing a lot of these guys on DraftKings. Both defenses are 3% owned. And then the highest owned pass catcher is Jalen Coker. So you got that, and then you have Olave and Juwan Johnson. Also, too, Ted McMillan coming in under the radar, man. Like I think he had a hamstring issue, and they weren't quite sure if he was going to play or what the case was going to be, but he is active today. 2%. Like nobody's really playing him, and he's the only show in town when it comes to pass catchers for the Carolina Panthers. So, like, that's something to really think about. We know what Bryce Young is going to give us or not give us in that space. So, yeah, man, Rico Dowdle again, and I'll end on this, 172 yards over expected rushing yards this season. I think that trend absolutely 1,000% continues. And this is crazy, but Rico Dowdle is going to go down if it continues to trend this way as the league winner for this year. Like this guy is absolutely killing it. Didn't see it shaking out quite like this, but I'm definitely in on Carolina for sure. Whoever Steven is, man, I love him, man. We're on the same wavelength, man, today. Steven, I like you, brother.
Steven out there.
I like you, Steven.
The DMV representing.
You all right by me, man.
Oh man. So yeah, no, that makes sense. I think the Panthers in a spot where I'm not even sure what their price is right now for purposes. So
what do you mean? For what? What are you looking for?
2,300 defense wise, something like that. No, they're higher.
35. Yeah, 3,500. The Saints are 24.
Let's flip those numbers around.
Yeah.
That being said, yeah, that's still a spot that I'm like, if you have some salary, sure, I guess, but let tee up from the rookie. But that being said, we're going to the 4:00 games. Then we'll have prop analysis, last minute DFS stuff. If anyone's got any questions before we get up out of here. Cardinals, 4:05 start. Cardinals getting 7.5 on the road going into Seattle. Over-unders 45.5. Johnny, take this one away.
Yeah, this one here I think is pretty straight ahead, right? Like I say it's straight ahead, but like the Cardinals are coming off of your traditional post Dallas Cowboy thrashing, so everybody feels a lot better about them. Everything is better. This is a good team. Like we haven't seen this. Yeah, like we've been here before. Like I've seen all of this before. Like when a team gets done playing the Dallas Cowboys. So am I falling for it? I think I might go maybe one more round today. And the only reason why I think I'm going to go another round is because I'm very pessimistic when a team just completely thrashes another team in a public setting, like what happened on Sunday Night Football.
Yeah.
And I think that's the last burning image that you have in your mind is, oh my God, Sam Darnold. Oh my God, JSN. And like those guys have been great. They've been great all year long. And like I've been beating the drum for Sam Darnold all year long. So like I'm totally with the rest of the general public. I think obviously it's a division game as well. So I think that brings another added element to things for sure. But I just think that like this one's 45.5. So obviously there's going to be points to be put up. There are some players that I do like in this space, and I will definitely, obviously I'll tell you who some of those guys are. Obviously it's really hard to get away from JSN in anything that you're doing in life, like for fantasy football, betting, sports, whatever, man, like definitely hard to get away from him. You're seeing what Trey McBride can do when he has competent quarterback play. And it's a quarterback that actually is going to get him the football. So those are the two highest owned players in that space at over 20%, which I totally agree with. Marvin Harrison Jr. I hate everything about this week because I'm playing guys like Marvin Harrison Jr. and Jalen Waddle, and it makes me want to vomit. I'm not going to lie to you, but I'm doing it. I'm doing it because they're in really good situations or really good game environments to do that. Demon Cardo is a guy that I think today you can play at 4,500, and even I think he's maybe like 5,000 or under 4,900 on FanDuel. I think he's a guy you can play today at the running back spot, like to give you some salary relief and to be in a pretty positive game environment. Again, everybody looks good against the Cowboys, like we know that. But I think, like, again, man, like he obviously brings a couple of other added elements to this offense as far as pass catchers or catching the ball. So, like, I'm comfortable playing him. So that was kind of weird for me as I was going through my process and kind of getting to him a little bit more uncomfortably than like I had even anticipated. But I feel okay about that. And then like the Seattle running backs, that's another spot too, where like obviously it's pretty top heavy on each slate when you look at the running backs. But you have Charbonnet and you have Ken Walker. I think this feels like a Ken Walker game to me, like for sure. Like this feels like a Ken Walker game. And this is a beautiful part about DFS. You don't got to be married to it, for sure. And I think like I'm okay with playing a little bit of Ken Walker today. But then you mentioned it, Rashid Shaheed is here. Like just know that they have to make it a point to try to get him acclimated to things, right? So he's a guy that like, so this, I'm saying all this, and this is like low key, like a really solid like environment for fantasy points, right? And nobody's playing Rashid Shaheed today. Only 1%.
No one's playing Brissett today in this matchup.
I'm playing.
I'm going to play Marvin Harrison.
No, I'm playing.
I'm playing those guys.
I'm playing those guys. Playing them in FanDuel. When I finish up here, I'm going to finish making a couple DraftKings lineups. Going to play him there. So this is a pretty good game environment, all in all. If you're asking me who am I going to take, I'm definitely still taking the Seahawks for sure. But yeah, man, like this is again, man, another game that is low key. I agree with you, Steven, man. Confidence is high coming off the Dallas game, but it does end with Seattle. Yeah. I agree, man. I agree 1,000%, bro.
Yeah. I mean, look, I think the 7.5 is something interesting. Well, now it dropped to 7 for the Cardinals. Man, Seattle's been playing so good this year too, though. It's like a division spot. Brissett always gives them opportunity to be in the game. I think the Cardinals get 7. Where's Haywood at when we're on the Cardinals? Must be sleeping in this morning on the West Coast.
Probably out there on that third coast. Yeah, I don't blame him. I would be too. Hell,
you're probably sleeping in. But that being said, I like the Cardinals +7. I like Seattle is a really solid team from top to bottom. I just don't think the Cardinals are going to get smoked in this spot. Brissett keeps this offense moving. He's consistently kept this offense afloat. I know Seattle's pass rush is going to be something we're going to have to look out for. That's going to be the offensive line versus defensive line matchup, something that's going to be there. The Cardinals got healthier this past week on defense. Their first round pick came back. They got the back end a little bit more healthier as well. Buda Baker was able to move around a little bit. I know that this is a classic spot where like, oh yeah, we just saw Cardinals this whatever. But I do think that JSN obviously is going to be in a spot to cook as well in this spot. I do think it's going to be a game that's going to be over 45.5. And I do think the Arizona Cardinals can make this a game. So I'm going to give them 7. I'll take the 7.5 where I can. But give me the 7 as well for the Cardinals. I do think this is going to be a 1-possession game where this could be a field goal finish. Just because of the familiarity between the teams. And again, Brissett, I think I'm just unfamiliar. The reason why Brissett's starting is because he's taken over the locker room. He's won the guys over 3 straight games of at least 230 something passing yards and just keeping them in games. Even when they were like in spots where they were losing, they lost games. Like I said this past week before they beat Dallas, they were in 5 straight games where they had losses of 4 points or fewer. So I do think that this team and the Cardinals do have an opportunity to keep the naysayers, just keep them talking about Brissett. And Brissett's win. If they happen to win in this spot, I don't think Murray's getting his job back. Like, period. I know he's on the IR now.
Soft benching.
Funny.
Soft benching.
Yeah. So that being said, I think Brissett, if he somehow pulls off this, win here, like this could be a Cardinals team that it's Brissett's for the rest of the season, and I think he knows that, and I think this whole team knows that too. So going on to the other 425 games, Lions getting 8.5 on the road going into Washington. The Commanders, man, no Jaden Daniels, Marcus Mariota starting at quarterback, no Terry McLaurin, my guy Deebo Samuel, let him loose today. That being said, injury news is starting to come out, so forgive me if I start looking and I'm like, okay, like this guy's in. This is news. This is not news.
I mean, we got a chat. You could use too. You could use some of that. Professional workplace courtesy. You know what I mean? You could use some of that because I mean, nothing wrong with that, right? Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with just getting somebody completely off their track. Wait a minute. Third string wide receivers out. Keep going.
Tyler, I mean, I think he needs a change of scenery. But it's also these shorter quarterbacks, man. Like, it's literally not being a heightus per se or anything. I don't know. Yep, Lions, same spot as last year, getting their lick back. That's definitely possible for sure in this spot. Like, talk about lick back. But yeah, Marcus Mariota, like, he started off well, and then just like the last, when he came in relief in the Dallas game, he just ever since then I was like, all right, okay, can't trust Marcus Mariota. But yeah, Lions in a spot should cover. This could be a spot where a sneaky onslaught for the Lions is in play. Golf, Gibbs, Ord, Montgomery, J-Mo, Laporta, Amon-Ra, St. Brown, obviously. Like, this is for DFS spots. Like, this could be like a sneaky onslaught. It's a later game, and there's obviously, a higher, spread differential. So it's one of those spots where, again, like, if you want to get different, the golf Amon-Ra stack, you start there and then go from wherever your process is. Because I do think that this could be a spot where the Lions can put up, can win by 14 or more points in this spot. For the Commander side of things, like, it's really going to have to come down to Marcus Mariota taking care of the football. Going to have to be a spot where for the Commanders, like, they are going to have to get Deebo Samuel going. If you're going to have any shot of winning this one. So give me the Lions a cover in this spot. The over under 49.5. feel like the Lions could just do this with 30 points by themselves. Give me the over. What do you got to say, Johnny?
Definitely agree with like the Lions space for sure.
Yeah, sorry. No Lattimore today. Obviously, he tore his ACL this past week. Yeah, that kind of sucks. So Amon-Ra St. Brown for the win, baby. Let's go.
I think there's definitely all the Lions are in play today for sure. Talked about Kincaid. I'll talk about Sam Laporta in the same space. Like he's another guy that's not quite his rookie season, right? But like obviously having a pretty good season so far at the tight end spot. So that's a place where you could definitely go to for sure from a pricing perspective. 4,400 on DraftKings at 7% owned. A lot of people are playing Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think this is the place that like optimally, this is the game that generates like the most ideal lineup and ideal players. So Jahmyr Gibbs is at 10%. Amon-Ra's at 18 and Debo's at 17. So like I agree with you. I think like if you want to go with like a Goff, Laporta, Jahmyr Gibbs kind of feel like I'm just trying something different here and not just trying to get like as optimal as what's always being generated with Goff and Amon-Ra and then Debo or Mariota and Debo, something like that. There's definitely a couple places you can get different. Zach Ertz is at 3%, so that's definitely a place where you could you can definitely get different at. And then Jared Goff in this space here, 612 yards, 612 passing yards off of play action. That's 8th in the NFL. Commanders are dead last in that space, so that's a terrible position for them to be in coming in against the Lions, who we all know like to run the ball. And then all of a sudden, you have all these weapons on the outside. J-Mo, Laporta, like this could get really ugly really quick. For sure. So I'm definitely taking the Lions. I'm not overthinking it. I have a ton of Lions in my lineups today. I'm trying to just find different ways, not to necessarily intentionally get off of Amon-Ra, but like just trying to find ways to get different.
Why? Is he high right now?
I mean, he's at 17% on DraftKings, but like this is one of those spots too where like just for me, like, and again, this is just sometimes I think I just galaxy brain stuff, which is really real. Jahmyr Gibbs, like if like coming off the performance that he just had last week, I think this is a spot where like they intentionally try to get him back on track, right? And so like these are some of the things that I think like when you're talking about ways to like not chase points and like ways to like pick games and things like that, like really just having a feel and an identity of what previously has happened and continuing to kind of like play into it and look into and be aware of whatever the narratives are. Yes, this is a narrative. As Steven mentioned that like, the Lions are definitely going to be looking for some get back from that playoff loss last season. And obviously Dan Campbell might go out there and run up the score for sure.
Yeah.
Again, like in that same space and in that same vein, right? Like there's also like a world where like maybe they are more competitive, right? And maybe this game doesn't absolutely blow out or get out of hand until the fourth quarter. So I'm just looking at a place where like I could maybe just get like a little bit different while still being inside of the same game as everybody else to create leverage for myself inside the field or outside the field. And I think like Jahmyr Gibbs is one of those guys. Laporta is one of those guys. And Jared Goff as well. He's also one of those guys. I know on FanDuel, Marcus Mariota is like one of the more optimal plays over there because of his price tag. So again, like just looking at it like through that space is really the way I'm looking at it. That doesn't mean I'm not playing any Amon-Ra because I am playing him. And I'm playing him with confidence, but like I just don't want to get to a space where I look up and I have 370 lineups and I look up and I have, Amon-Ra and 250 of them, right? Like I just don't want to be in that space. So
yeah, that makes sense. I get it. But it's like for me, it's don't hesitate. Don't hesitate. Put them all in your lineups. No. I get it. I know where you're coming from for sure. Because as an MME guy, like when you play all these hundreds of lineups, like you need to differentiate just a tad. Final game we got should be a doozy. We got the Niners and the Rams divisional matchup. What else do we need, right? Rams getting 5.5 going into San Fran. Both teams 6 wins on the year, over under 49.5. I feel like this is a spot people aren't getting to enough. But it is a divisional matchup. I just, for some reason, feel like this is going to be an under spot. So all these two teams come out before they played on Thursday night several weeks back.
Yep.
And so we obviously know that these two teams are going to kind of know each other a little bit. So I do think that our under is definitely a spot here. Of course, Christian McCaffrey, of course, Kyron Williams, of course, Devontae Williams, of course, Puka Nacua. Like, a lot of weapons here. But I don't know if it's. I got a feeling that it's going to be the under. I'm also thinking that the Rams covering this spot? Question mark. What do you think, Johnny?
I took the Rams in this spot, and I'm taking them because one of the problems that the 49ers have, they've got some safety problems. Like, Steven, man, bro, listen. You know what? Yes.
Come back any week, right?
Yes. I'll be waiting for that friend request in my box, man, for sure. I'll be waiting for it, bro. No, like, I just think this is a spot where, like, again, man, like, the 49ers have a little bit of a safety problem. Kyron Williams absolutely smoked these guys on Thursday night. And Kyron Williams, man, he's another guy that, like, I'm really big on this week from a lot of angles, right? Like, just from an ownership perspective, I think he should probably be a little bit higher owned than he is right now. He had his best finish of the season against these guys. He's coming off of an RB8 finish against the Saints last week. And then obviously you have Puka, who's back, Tay. I just think, like, this is just one of these classic situations where it's just a little bit too much for the 49ers to handle, like, at this space, especially, like, with all the defensive injuries that, like, they've had. And for, again, like, as much of a Matthew Stafford guy at this stage of his career as I'm not, like, fantasy-wise per se, because I think we all know what he gives you in the rushing game. I don't know. I think I might even be able to give a little bit more than he gives in the rushing game, but clearly can't throw it that well. 21 touchdowns. He's leading the NFL in that space, right? And that's the third most through the first 8 games of the season in Rams franchise history. And I think we all know. We also know some guy named Kurt Warner who played there with the greatest show on turf. So, so there's that, man. And then obviously you mentioned it, like Christian McCaffrey, bro. Like, you know, he's still alive and he's still kicking, man. You know what I mean? He's still kicking. He's still alive out there doing what he does. I like this game, man. This is a game I like, man, from a DFS side of things. Yeah, Steven, I'm with you, brother. I'm still riding with the Rams. Christian McCaffrey is going to get there, man, just surely based off of volume for sure. Jawan Jennings is the next guy at 20%. Man, I don't mind. Like, I love Jawan Jennings. Shout out UT, who didn't play last night, so they couldn't break my heart. But it seems like that's all that guy's been doing. Speaking of breaking hearts, man, Jawan Jennings, that's all he's been doing is breaking my heart, man. Between him and George Kittle, like, I picked the wrong set of San Francisco 49ers, literally. I picked George Kittle. I picked Jawan Jennings. I picked Ricky Pearsall. I picked Brock Purdy. I didn't pick Christian McCaffrey, the guy that's still alive out there. That's the catch, man, is that. I didn't pick him. So I think, like, there's that. Then we look at tight ends, man. You know, you can go with, like, you know, you have Tyler Higbee who's there. Like, if you want to go into some kind of a game stack right here to make things cheaper, because obviously a lot of these Rams players are premier price in that space. But then you also have Kendrick Bourne on the 49ers side of things, who's at 1% owned, who's still going to be getting some run out there at this point with no Ricky Pearsall. So, again, I think this is a game that, you know, you could look at and, you know, this could be a, you know, 31-27 type game, right? Or like, so I think this game is going to go over for sure. I guess is like a long-winded way of me saying that. And yeah, I'm just going to take the Rams, man. I'm not even going to think about it. I just think they're a better football team. And, like, low key, man, like when you talk about all the teams in the NFL and who's talking about what, and, you know, teams that are getting off, like, this is a team that's being overlooked. Like, they're being grossly overlooked at this point. So I just think this is a space where they just continue to be overlooked, and they're going to win this game, and people still aren't going to talk about them. Why? Because, and this is no shade of Seattle, as I just mentioned, like, I think the Seahawks are playing great, but, like, that's what's sexy is the Seahawks right now, not the Rams, not like the safe traditional, like, hey, this is what it's been with McVay. Like, this is what it is. So give me the Rams in this space today.
Okay. Yeah. No, I like everything you said there, because, yeah, like, look, it's yeah, it's one of those things where, yeah, Seattle is the sexy name right now. You know what I'm saying? But everybody's overlooking the Rams, you know, and I think that's definitely a mistake. They have a lot of components here to make themselves a team that is on the cusp of really competing for a, you NFC Championship crown, potentially going to the Super Bowl. So Niners have had a somewhat easier schedule this year. So this is something where rubber's going to meet the road in some type of way. They would rather talk about Dallas. Yeah, they freaking stink. But anyhow, that is what we got for all the game by games. Tune in later today where we talk about the Sunday Night Football matchup between the Chargers and Johnny Steelers. That being said, we got the prop shop coming to your airwaves. 75-45 in the year, 62% year to date. We are absolutely crushing it. It's an improvement so far for me in terms of just like getting some of these props right better. End of the year last year, like at 55%. So we're up year to date just in general. So we got core 4 bets for week 10 in the house. So core 4 bets today, pretty simple in terms of how we should lay it out. Achane over 5.5 catches. He did this against Buffalo earlier on the year. And I expect Achane, and that was a game where Tyreek was still playing. So with Achane, like we expect the 5.5 catches to be there. Like I said, 21% target share since Tyreek has been out. The receiving yards and the yardage in general, we'll have to see, but I'm just going to go safe and get their catches here because him and Waddle should dominate the touches. And I think that's something where we need to just, again, this Achane day. And I think the catches are just a safe way to go from a betting perspective. Zay Flowers, 65.5 receiving yards or more. Johnny's favorite. Zay Flowers, he's I know the lines increased, so definitely check your books. But I was able to get this at 65.5 on FanDuel. I think it's up to 70 at this point. Still like that. The Vikings still are a defense that allows 11.4 yards per catch to wide receiver ones. Wide receiver ones in the last 3 weeks of, I think last 5 weeks, wide receiver ones outside of Jerry Jeudy has covered this because it's just Jerry Jeudy. And again, we talked about it, the Vikings blitz at the highest rate in the NFL. This should open up windows for Lamar Jackson to get to Zay Flowers the ball quickly. In the same vein, I like Mark Andrews over 30.5 receiving yards. In these spots for Lamar, Andrews usually has a touchdown or two. Or overall, Mark Andrews gets a bit more peppered in these spots, like I said, with the Vikings against the blitz. So Zay Flowers and Mark Andrews in the same vein should all get beneficial ways of being in this matchup. So Achane so far, Zay Flowers for the core 4s. My guy Garrett Wilson is back for the Jets today. Over 4.5 catches. So definitely check the lines because I think that line was a bit juiced. But definitely check the 4.5 for sure. It's Garrett Wilson. Should be getting peppered. I know the Browns defense is tough, but where else are you going to go with the ball outside of Garrett Wilson, Mason Taylor, stuff like that, Breece Hall? So those are the guys that should be benefiting the most. Get to that question in a moment. I'll finish the core 4, and then we'll get to that question. Amon-Ra, over 80.5 receiving yards. Shout out to my boy Colin from FTN breaking down Amon-Ra St. Brown. Obviously, the injury for Marshawn Lattimore and getting a corner in the slot for the Commanders that has been getting roasted. Getting barbecue chicken. The 8.5 receiving yards is too low. Commanders in the slot are a top 10 matchup to target against slot receivers. Amon-Ra is going to do his thing. So 80.5 receiving yards, definitely too low. It's the buy low spot of the week, I think, for me. Going to the questions real quick before we finish off the bets. We got a question for season long. Lineup is Herbert, Rico, Judkins, Diggs, Odunze, and then McBride at tight end. His flex is Devo, Carolina defense. He's got Caleb to put in instead of Herbert if he wants. He has Henderson, Metcalf, and the Seattle D on bench. Any changes here?
I like it. I like it. I think if I was going to do anything, maybe I might maybe Metcalf and Devo possibly might be like the only maybe, but like overall, bro, like that's not a bad situation. I think Justin Herbert tonight, I think, not to get too in depth to it, but I think like Justin Herbert, he's going to have to throw the ball, and it's going to be quick for sure. And like one of the things like the Steelers have just had a problem with all season long. Again, their household names, and like, again, like 5 years ago or 3 years ago, even, man, like that secondary would have been hell. It's not necessarily that. So I don't mind that. And then Justin Herbert, I'm pretty sure he's also one of the better quarterbacks as far as rushing in the NFL. So I think he's going to have to do that a little bit tonight. As well. And like with the Steelers, man, it's Jekyll and Hyde, man. You never know what kind of, you never know where you're getting. And that's a huge win that they had on Sunday. And I've been saying it all show long. I've been saying it all season long. You have to be mindful of these teams when they come off of these type of big wins, not necessarily from a win-loss perspective, but just from like an effort. Momentum. Yeah, an effort, focus, momentum, whatever you want to categorize that as. I would look in that space. But that's really like that's the only one I would really call out, man.
Yeah, so yeah, I would say like I'm in the same vein as you. Like Metcalf is so like spotty. Yeah, you know what I'm saying, he's so up and down. He's so like contrarian. Like he's so.
But he ain't did shit in a couple weeks. So he's due. He's due.
I know he's due. So that's no. Now you say that. Now he's gonna do his thing, right? It's like Herbert or Caleb, right? Caleb was obviously phenomenal last week, but.
Giants are dead, like they're dead last in a lot of running categories, man. So like if this is a space where like that's all they need to do, like, but also too, like again, like talked about it, there's a world where Jackson Dart single-handedly continues to keep this Giants team like in that space.
Right, yeah. So no, I think this is a lineup I would be cool with. It's just because Rico and Judkins are in such better matchups than Henderson right now. Or, I mean, again, if I felt more confident about Henderson today, because I'm kind of in the middle. There's some people are highly on him, but it's like the Bucs' run defense is definitely stout. So the only way Henderson really gets there is by getting peppered with targets underneath. It's possible because the Bucs are one of those defenses that allows that funnel, but it's just tough. So I'm sticking with Debo. I'm sticking with my guns, basically. In a game where I do think that Debo should be getting a ton of that usage work along with him and Hurts should be getting a ton of that. But that being said, yeah, Chargers offensive line has injuries. Yeah, it's true. No, Herbert's been on the move. He's been really, like Johnny said, like, he's been on the move, like constantly getting rushing. He was the leading rushing yardage, player last week for the Chargers, Like, so he can get out there and scramble, and he's going to have to probably do that against Highsmith and TJ Watt tonight for sure. So, that being said, continuing the bets here. By the way, we went 13-5 last week on player props last week. We absolutely crushed. So I'm hoping I'm getting the people some money this year. Because as we've hit some decent ones, right? If you look at the X, I'm saying we hit a crazy, Thursday night bet several weeks ago. We hit some crazy parlays last couple of weeks. We even hit a couple of NBA ones. So, we out here. We getting live. We getting cooking. We cooking, baby. We cooking, baby. Continuing my rant. James Cook, over 100 yards or more total yards. This should be a game where I like the rushing yards more, but it's always one of these weird spots, especially early on the game, where James Cook just gets a reception for like 20 yards early or something like that. And it's just like, oh, man, well, I took the rushing yards, not the total. So give me the 100 yards or more total for James Cook. Like, he could get there by rushing alone. But I do think in a receiving game, James Cook can totally get there. Again, Miami is a run funnel defense, especially against man concepts. And that's where James Cook definitely thrives in. So give me James Cook in a spot. I think where Josh Allen doesn't have to be as competitive. Give me this total yards just in case the game does get a little bit more competitive. I think James Cook can do it either way. So Lamar Jackson over 38.5 rushing yards. Lamar Jackson, we haven't seen him rush, but I do think him a week back from being, Lamar, him throwing 4 passing touchdowns this past week. I do think the game calls for Lamar and his legs at some point. Again, with the blitz, again, the Vikings being the top, defense when it comes to blitzing. I do think this opens up a lane for Lamar to get several of these during the game. So give me Lamar Jackson with over 30.5 rushing yards. I like it obviously at 40 as well. Judkins over 84.5 rushing yards. Jets, talked about him earlier, still a team that's one of the softest matchups against the run. Judkins, when he had 13 more carries overall in a spot, and there she goes. In a spot where Judkins has had at least 13 carries or more, he's cleared this line. And with Judkins, it should be a spot that curtails more towards a game that gets a little bit more slower. It shouldn't be as high paced. So the carry should definitely be there for Judkins, and in turn, 85 yards should be there to clear. Monty, talking about the late window. Monty, 50 plus rushing yards in a game that, again, we think the Lions, should be relatively in hand here. Monty should be able to salt away 50 rushing yards in this spot. Commanders, although they've been a middle of the pack run defense, this game script calls for Monty to still be very utilized in this spot. Parker Washington, over 4.5 catches. Parker Washington, the waiver wire pickup, we told you guys to pick him up and start last week. I think has an opportunity to get there by volume this week. I know the Houston secondary is something to be definitely nervous of. But again, I think outside Jacoby Myers obviously coming in, he's going to be a new, wrinkle in the offense. And then Travis Etienne could definitely foster, but it has to, from a target perspective, go through Parker Washington. And he's going to get the targets. So all about making sure he gets some catches that are easily there for him. And again, like we took this line last week at 3.5. So I'm pretty bullish again on this for just another catch more. Could get a little contrarian. Chuba Hubbard over 22.5 rushing yards. Saints, we talked about earlier. They allow 26.3 rushing yards, rushing attempts per game. So this should open up, obviously, Rico Dowell, because he's going to be the focal point of the running game. But like we talked about earlier, the Panthers aren't going to be throwing the ball as much. Like I said, they are the dead last when it comes to passing over expected. So give me Chuba Hubbard here. The last 3 weeks where the change of pace backs have been there, that included Kyle Monungai because he wasn't a chase of pace back in that game instead of the overall starter for the Bears. They've all hit this line over. So it's definitely an easy, it should be an easy spot where Chuba Hubbard, we know he's talented. It's more about how many carries will he get. So it's more about Chuba Hubbard. We know he's talented, so he should clear this line. Lastly, Cade Otton, baby, over 42.5 receiving yards. Talked about him earlier on the Fantrax article for tight ends on Tuesday. If you ain't been tuning in, you've been missing out on the tight end classics. So Cade Otton, over 42.5 receiving yards. Definitely love the spot. The Patriots, they're susceptible against tight ends in terms of receptions and receiving yards. Obviously, we have Emeka Egbuka, but obviously no Mike Evans, no Chris Godwin, no Bucky Irving. So what does that mean? It means that, again, Ted Johnson should get a little bit more looks, obviously, on the boundary, but Cade Otton, the whole middle and the short intermediate game should be his. So give me Cade Otton at over 42.5 receiving yards. Our guy Haywood, you missed what happened, I'm telling you, I said Cardinals +7. And yeah, we knew he woke up late because he got 11, crazy 11 p.m. shows going on Saturday night. So, but yeah, bro, definitely going to be seeing you tomorrow when it comes to Phoenix, yo. It's going to be a fun time for sure. But yeah, that's what we got. Anything in terms of, no, that's not it. That's not it for the bets. Sorry. DJ Moore, 40 yards receiving or more in a matchup where, again, man coverages against for the Giants and the Bears. They both, again, top 5 funnels for passing yards allowed. DJ Moore, I know he's somewhat an afterthought this year, but he should hit this line for 40 yards. He's way too talented. Zach Ertz, 3.5 catches. I know he's probably at 4.5 on some books. If you could tease it down to 3.5 for, I think minus 40, minus 140, whatever, I would still do that. Put him in a parlay. Look, it's Debo, it's Ertz, and then who else? So that being said, I think it gets there by just talent alone. Zach Ertz usually gets more utilized towards the red zone. I'm not sure how many times Commanders will be there today, but I do like the 3.5 catches in a spot where the Commanders can constantly be throwing the ball late. Marcus Mariota, definitely a pro. He's going to find, the tight ends enough in this one, I feel. Lastly, for sure, Mac Jones, Johnny's boy, over 247 passing yards. Rams are still susceptible, against the pass, although they've been a bit better the last couple of weeks. Secondary is still something I don't necessarily believe in per se. So they'll have to prove me wrong. I think Kendrick Bourne and the Jennings, these guys that, especially Bourne, who has the chemistry with Mac Jones. should get him over. And now, obviously, in the matchup that they didn't have George Kittle in, Mac Jones cooked these guys for over 300 yards passing. So now he gets Kittle in this spot too. This should be a layup for Mac Jones in a game where it could go back and forth. But if we're expecting the Rams to, be winning in a spot like this should set up for a passing game script for Mac Jones. Robbie Chosen. Oh my goodness, yo. Is he a Niner now? I thought he got released by Miami, and then I didn't know he even got signed, yo. That's wild. Is he a Niner?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've seen him on the
wild, yo. That's crazy, yo. Oh man. Yo, yeah, absolutely, bro. Absolutely. You got another question? Feel free to ask it now before we get out of here. Yeah, Burks. I'm not going there with Washington. No way. Trevion, I never liked Burks. No, I never liked him like that. And yeah, bro, like that being said, like that's what I got for the props. Anything last minute DFS? Want to make a lineup?
Listen, I'm gonna tell you something, okay? If I'm making a lineup today, I'm making a lineup for me. You have walked me off of the last 2 MVPs of single games. So yeah, no. I think like just wait until single game. I think like
that's cool. That's cool.
Single game for sure.
Listen, I'll make it.
Yeah, no, you have absolutely like you stick to the props. You cook. You cook in the props. You stay out of my DFS kitchen, okay? You stay out of my DFS kitchen.
All right. You stay over there, I stay over there.
That's right. But no, that's all. No, I don't have anything else, man. Like I said, just trying to get into this 20 max entry here while you were going over props and stuff. That's really it. But yeah, man, that's it, bro.
Okay, cool. Well, that being said, lovely people. We'll see you guys later today. We talk about Sunday Night Football matchups and all the things that's happened between the 1 and 4 o'clock games. For me and Johnny, we out of it. Oh, wait, what happened? Let the chef cook. The chefs, there's 2 here. Just different recipes sometimes.
Yeah.
For Johnny and myself, we out of here. We'll see you guys later this afternoon. Peace.